Hello, welcome to episode 18 of Followers of the Cross, where I interview Christian authors, musicians, and filmmakers. This is your host, Jason Reynolds. Today's interview is with Diane Stortz, an author of women's and children's books. Her latest book is I Am, 40 Reasons to Trust God. The title is a beautifully illustrated book for young children. This interview was recorded at the International Christian Retail Show. I will let Diane tell you about her book.
Well, I Am was my third Bible story book published with Tommy Nelson. And it came out in February. And what it is a collection of 52 Bible stories that go from Genesis through Revelation. But what's unique is that every Bible story was chosen to illustrate for children the meaning of one of the names or descriptive titles of God. So that's where the title I Am originated, since I Am is the name of God, Jehovah, Yahweh. And then the subtitle of the book is 40 Reasons to Trust God. So I misspoke. There are not 52 stories, there are 40. But each of the names of God gives us a way to know Him better. And when you know someone better, you generally feel closer to them. And that's what we want for children, is to feel very close to God and know that they are loved by Him and that they can trust Him. So, for example, an easy one is Genesis 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. We have that story. The name of God that story illustrates is, of course, Creator, which is Elohim in Hebrew. And we do give the Hebrew and some phonetic pronunciations for all of the names in the Old Testament. And in the New Testament, a few of the names have a Hebrew or a Greek pronunciation that's commonly known, and so we did include those names and pronunciations as well. Some of the other names, the Greek, would just be Greek to people. They wouldn't recognize it at all. So we didn't include the pronunciations there. But so we have the Bible story, and then the name, the pronunciation. There's a verse from the Bible where that name is found. And after each story, there is a section called What Does It Mean?, which is really a short devotional for younger elementary children, maybe some older preschoolers, even maybe some middle graders, to help them understand how that story actually explains the name of God, and then what that means for them, how that operates in their lives. There's also a section called Learn More, which gives families a couple of different scriptures to look up to explore the name a little more. And then there's a section called What Happened Next, and that's just a little link to the events of the next story, or to what happened in between the story we're on and the story that's next, so that you do get the whole continuity of the story of the Bible from start to finish as you go through.
Sure.
And the artwork is phenomenal. The artist is Diane Rophe. She's a French woman, young French woman. I've never met her, but of course we share the same first name, which was nice. But she did a phenomenal job. She also illustrated my first book with Tommy Nelson, which was Words to Dream On, which is also a Bible story book, but that one is for bedtime. Diane has a background in animation, and she just did a wonderful job of creating characters that children will be drawn to, but they're not cartoony. They seem very warm and real, and she did a great job with Jesus, making him not static or stiff in any way, which sometimes artists do have trouble with, but he's very warm, engaging with the children. And she kept all of the disciples straight. They're all 12 in there. and, the sons of Jacob, 12 sons, she had to make each one distinctive and keep them clear from everybody else, from story to story. And she did an awesome job in the first book, and she was able to keep all those characters that she had developed and bring them into the second book. So
awesome. She sounds talented.
Yeah, she's very talented, and children who have both books would actually recognize the characters between the two. Some of the stories are different, but many are the same. So that's the idea in a nutshell. I just really think it's so important for us to know God. About a dozen years or so ago, I was involved in some women's Bible study groups where we read through the Bible in a year, and we would get together every week to talk about what we had read. And it was a very wonderful, life-changing experience, not just for me, but for many other women. We've been Christians a long time, but when you read the Bible in community with other people and with a focus on just getting to know God, you're not reading it to fill out answers on a study guide, not that that's a bad thing.
Right.
But you're not looking for information or head knowledge. You're just wanting to find out, who is God? What does he do? What does he say? How is he involved in people's lives? It's eye-opening, wonderful experience. I got to write a book for women to use as a guide that Bethany House published a few years back, called A Woman's Guide to Reading the Bible in a Year, which is, it takes them right through that program.
Sure.
Either alone or with a group. But I think really that was the genesis of I Am, although I didn't know it at the time.
Mm-hmm. So tell me about the Say and Pray Bible. I understand this is another title that you've done.
Say and Pray Bible is near and dear to my heart. I have 4 young grandsons, all boys, obviously, and another boy on the way in the fall. So there'll be 5. They're all young, under 8 years old. And they all have their Bible storybooks at home, different kinds. But I always felt like there wasn't anything available for the youngest child, that older baby, toddler, walking, just starting to walk and talk age. Everything had too much going on. Maybe the art was appropriate, but there was too much text, or the something just wasn't ever right, and I wanted to get it right if I could. And I noticed that our one grandson here in Cincinnati loved his books, and loved books where he could point to objects and say what they were. And I thought, couldn't we do a Bible that way for this age? And so that was the beginning of Say and Pray Bible. And that one is 20 Bible stories from Old and New Testament. It's a board book, very sturdy, and has padded cover. So if you throw it across the room or something, it won't hurt anybody. Kids are prone to do that sometimes. But as you can see from the cover image there, the illustrations all have labels within them. So that's kind of a prompt for the parent or the adult to say, point to the giraffe, point to the ark, where's the elephant? The child will kind of do that naturally, but sometimes the parents need a little extra help. And we've also found that children that are starting to read really like this book because of the words that illustrate the pictures. The stories are very short, maybe a sentence, no more than 2 sentences, just sums up the essence of the story that's appropriate for that very little child.
Sure, age appropriate. That's a great idea.
Right. And then there's a short verse that can be read or learned with repetition, and then a very short thank you prayer. So that's where the Say and Pray comes from.
Okay.
Yeah. And just really wanted it to be age appropriate. There's a lot in the Bible that's not, and little ones, my goal for them is to love God. And so we looked for the stories that we could really focus on, the things that children would recognize, like the story of Ruth and Naomi. We illustrated family members. So there's mommy and daddy and grandma and and baby things and objects, people that children are very familiar with.
Sure. So you're very gifted with this ability to connect with these children who are so young, and doing like the Say and Pray Bible. Is this something that is it something that comes naturally to you? Is this something you've learned with your own children, with nieces, nephews, or is it just something that God gave you and boom?
Well,
it makes sense to you, and you can just do it.
Yeah, no, when I first came to Cincinnati after graduation from college with a journalism degree, I was hired by Standard Publishing, which is a Christian publisher at the time, and my first job there was to develop Sunday school curriculum for 2- and 3-year-olds. And that's when I discovered that I really liked bringing the word down to make it understandable to children. And of course, when I had my own children, we read to them all the time. I have to say, we didn't read the Bible enough to them. But that also motivates me to really provide things for my grandchildren.
Yeah.
Fortunately, their parents are all walking with the Lord and raising them in Christian homes. So that's a wonderful blessing.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's all I have. Is there anything else about your work or whatever that you'd like to share with people?
Well, I have a new book coming out. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, definitely.
I just got a copy yesterday. It's called Baby Baby. It's published by Worthy Kids Ideals. And it's a little rhyming poem, a board book about all of the different things that babies do.
Baby crawls and baby rides.
Baby reaches, baby hides. Baby kisses, baby claps. Baby yawns and baby naps. Baby pounds and baby squeezes. Baby splashes, baby sneezes. Baby eats and baby drinks. Baby cuddles, baby blinks. Baby smiles and baby nods. Baby's always loved by God. That's the kicker. And there is also on the very last spread a mirror to let babies look inside and answer the question, who does God love?
Oh, that's amazing.
God loves me.
Diane, that's great.
I'm tickled with how it turned out. And there's also a follow-up coming out this fall to Say and Pray Bible. There will be Say and Pray Devotions. It comes out in October.
Okay, awesome. Now, do you have an author website to find out more?
It's DianeStortz.com. It's STORTZ. So DianeStortz.com, and all the books are there. There's samplers to look at and lots of information. There's ordering links. I don't sell the books myself, but I help you find places where you can.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us today, Diane.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Diane's website is DianeStortz.com. Stortz is spelled STORTZ. That's all the time for today. Check back soon for more episodes. Thank you for listening.